For years, my bison fence marked the clear boundary between my ranch and the neighboring development. Then the HOA decided that empty land beside my fence was the perfect place for a brand new playground. Within weeks, construction crews started putting up towers, slides, and climbing equipment right beside my livestock fence. I immediately knew they hadn't thought through what would happen when hundreds of children arrived there. I checked the property line twice because I couldn't believe how close they'd built it. The playground wasn't somewhere near my fence. It was practically pressed against it. When I asked the HOA president why they had built so close to my bison enclosure, she simply smiled. She told me the playground was completely within their community property. She insisted that the playground was safe and that the fence was more than enough protection. I tried to explain that bison were powerful wild animals, not decorations for the HOA's new park. A few days later, the HOA announced a huge grand opening celebration. They planned food, speeches, games, and hundreds of residents just feet away from my bison pasture. I gave them one final warning. Don't hold a crowded event beside the bison fence. The HOA president told me I was being dramatic and said nothing was going to happen. Then something unexpected happened. The county became aware of the playground's location. A county inspector arrived before the grand opening and started examining the site herself. The inspector measured the distance between the playground and my livestock enclosure. Her expression changed as she compared the measurements with the county requirements. Then the inspector put up a sign that stopped everyone cold, not approved for use. The grand opening wasn't going to happen, not until the county cleared the site. Families had already started arriving when they saw the barrier across the playground entrance. The excitement quickly turned into confusion. Parents began asking why their children couldn't use the brand new playground. The HOA staff had no good answer because the county had already made its decision. The HOA president tried to blame the entire mess on me and my bison fence. I calmly reminded her that the county had stopped the playground, not me. The county inspector explained that the problem wasn't simply the fence. The playground had been constructed and prepared for public use without the required county approval. The playground looked impressive, but nobody was allowed to use it. All those decorations, chairs, and balloons suddenly surrounded an empty park. Ironically, the bison became the biggest attraction that day. People finally understood why I'd been so careful about keeping the ranch boundary secure. That evening, the HOA board held an emergency meeting about the failed grand opening. For the first time, they had to confront the paperwork they should have checked before construction began. The original plans were spread across the table. The board finally saw just how close the playground had been placed to the ranch boundary. The HOA had no choice but to postpone the opening and begin working with the county. The playground would have to wait until every required approval was completed. I never wanted their playground shut down. I simply wanted them to respect the property boundary and follow the same rules everyone else had to follow. Over the next several days, crews returned to make the changes required by the county. This time, the work was being inspected instead of rushed. The new layout finally created a clear separation between the public playground and my livestock enclosure. That was exactly what I had been asking for from the beginning. Finally, the county returned for another inspection. This time, the inspector checked every part of the site before making her final decision. A few days later, the county finally approved the corrected playground. The HOA could finally hold the grand opening. But this time, they had followed the rules. The second grand opening was completely different. Families enjoyed the playground while the ranch boundary remained secure and respected. After the event, the HOA president came over to speak with me. Her attitude was completely different from the first time we met. She admitted that the HOA should have checked everything before building so close to my ranch. I accepted the apology because, in the end, the county process had fixed a problem. The playground stayed, and so did my bison fence. The difference was that now there was a proper boundary between the two. The whole situation taught everyone a simple lesson. Planning matters, boundaries matter, and rules exist for a reason. Sometimes the best victory isn't shutting something down. It's making sure it gets done correctly. What started as an HOA mistake ended with a safer playground and a respected ranch boundary. Like, subscribe, and tell me, where are you watching from?